Hello, my fellow crafters. I was asked to make a quick how-to video about making this card. I just wanted to show it to you really quickly. This is from the front, and you can see the depth and the stamped U all the way to the back. And when you open it up, it has a different sentiment to go with you for each of the 4 pages. And I understand that a lot of you wanted to know how I put this together. So I was going to show you really quickly. I tried to make another video, but I'm sorry, I'm not a great videographer. So I will try to make this one quicker and just kind of give you a rough outline so that if you are a crafter, you can do it too. Hopefully you all will even do better than I did on this first attempt. So first thing you need is a top folding A2 size card. So that's from a single sheet, a very thick heavyweight card stock. So mine is 110 pound or 300 GSM. After you cut it out to be a standard A2 size, you need to trim off about 1/8 of an inch. So this one is the A2, and this is the one we're going to use. That's just about 1/8 of an inch smaller. It's about 4 1/8 inches by 5 1/2. Next thing you're going to need is to take a second piece of the 8 1/2 by 11 inch paper and cut it down so that it's 11 by 5 1/2. So just 5 1/2 inches this way, and keep it the full 11 inch width. Then you'll cut it in half so that you end up with 2 5 1/2 inch squares, and I'll show you what you do with those two. So these are the 2 pieces that are 5 1/2 inch squares. Then what you do is you just take it on your scoreboard and you score one, so it'll be 4 1/4 inches wide here, and the second one you'll score at 4 1/8 inches wide. Now that's important so that when you put the inner page in, it doesn't squish the other page out. So then you'll have them stacked up like this. This is the full size 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then the other 2 pages are just slightly smaller. Okay. The other thing you'll need is a word die that has a shadow. So the one that I used for making this card is called All About You, and it's from My Favorite Things, or MFT stamps. I believe it is still available, and I also have the shadow die that comes with it. That's important. It has to be a word with a shadow die. And then I found that if you have sentiments to go with that main word, you can choose which sentiments you want to put on the page. So this one, the original one, I did for my husband's birthday, but you could do it for other things. I'm so happy for you, thinking of you, I love you, you're amazing, let's celebrate you. So there's just a whole lot of choices in this stamp set, but you probably have a lot of stamp sets like that. The other thing I used to make the little pattern on each page was just this set from the Designer's Choice from a couple of months ago from Tonic Studios, and it is just a nice rectangle shaped die that makes a beautiful cutout that to me felt very masculine. But I'm sure you have something in your own stash that would work just fine. So just something to decorate it on the top and the bottom of each page. Or if you choose, you could always cover each page with designer paper, and then you wouldn't need to do a die cut to go on it. Let me set that off to the side. Okay, so let me show you quickly how we do this. We're going to need our little die that cuts out the word you, and we're going to start on the very outside page. So I'm going to bring that back over and show you it all put together, but we're not going to put it together while we die cut it because it would be too big and thick to put through a die cutting machine all at once. So we're just going to have it all stacked up nice and neat. Then when we know, yes, that's the outside piece, we're going to pull the other two pieces out. And then we're going to line up the die so that it is in the middle of that page. So I have this nice little ruler that makes it a little easier for me. There we go. Oh, except for this one we'll have to do across the top because the bottom is very uneven. So we'll get it to approximately the midway, and we'll take a little look and see. I actually think it needs to be a teeny bit higher. Let me just check it with the piece that I have. Yeah, we could come down just a little bit. All right, and that looks even. Let me check the placement. That looks good. Let me go ahead and tape that with some low-tack tape. Yeah, that looks pretty even there in the middle of the page. Okay, let me double check the top too to make sure we have enough room for that piece up top too. And that's about that far. And at the bottom is just about the same. It just comes in a little bit more from the loop, so I like that. I'm going to take this now and run it through my die cut machine. I'll be right back. Okay, we have that outline piece cut out, and we'll just set that to the side. Now we're going to put it back together again with that die cut piece on the top. Then we're just going to take a pencil or a pen after we have it all lined up. I know we have to do that a whole lot of times to get this done right. And we're going to put just little pin marks to help us with locating the die in the same place on the next page. I'm trying really hard not to actually color on the edge of the opening, but just on the bottom piece. This pen seems to work pretty well for that. Okay, now we're going to take this piece off, set it aside, and the back piece off, set it aside. Then we're going to carefully line up the outline die again with those marks. And I'm kind of peeking underneath just to make sure I get it in the right place. And I can lift and check until I have it just right. It's hard to show on camera, I'm sorry, but hopefully you understand. Some of the dies, the outline die is open on the inside, and then you could just draw on the inside. Or on even this one, you could draw on these to help you with positioning it. We'll try that on the next one and see if that helps it even a little bit more. Let me see. Let's try that right quick. Go ahead and try that right now. Every so often I find new things that help me a little bit. And I love when we find a new way that helps even a little bit more. So we've got that one all lined up just right, both directions, top, bottom, left, right, and then let's try and make these marks right in here so that we can see them from the outside. And now, let's go ahead, remove that and the back piece. And we'll line that up again, paying close attention to the inside spots as well as the outside to make sure we have that all lined up nicely. Oh yeah, that does help a little bit. Okay, but yeah, some of the dies have like a hollow inside, and that's the easiest way to do it with the shadow die. Hang on a second, and I'll go ahead and run that through my die cutting machine and be right back. Okay, we have that one cut out now too. So let's put together all three pieces once again. Top fold, inside flap, and the outside flap. And those line up just perfectly, although I gotta unhook them right there so that you can see how nicely those line up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the die again and put it inside here one more time. And get those two little spots ready on the third piece. Nope, nope, no moving allowed here, die. Get you lined right back up again. Beautiful. And in here. There we go. And we'll lift that up for a moment. And get just those edges a bit here to help us even further. So we can check those. Okay. Now we're going to go with the front part of this and use our guidelines to carefully line this up again so that it will cut through in as close to the identical place as the other one did. In order to cut this one, it's important that we open it up flat so we don't go through the whole thing. Hang on just one moment and I'll put that one through the die cutting machine. Okay, all three of them are done now, and you can see the outline all the way through to the inside of the card. So what I'm going to do is they line up great, so we're happy with that. If you do it and you find that they're not lining up quite right, now is the time to go ahead and recut any that you might need to before you do all the decorating. Okay, so now we're going to take this piece alone and we're going to go ahead and stamp the word through this hole. Hang on just one second, I'll get things set up so I can show you nicely. Okay, so I have just the inside piece all lined up with the corner of my stamp positioning tool, and I'm going to take the stamp that I'm putting through to the inside of the card and just line it up with that hole very carefully to make sure we've got it nice and evenly in there. Here we go, right about there. Okay, so I'm going to take this, and if you have a MISTI, you'd close the lid. This is the Precision Plate Advance from We Are Memory Keepers, and it works pretty well for me, but whatever stamp positioning tool you have will work fine. Now I'm going to lift it up. So now we know where that stamp is going to go, but we're not going to do it through the outside, so we're just going to keep that piece of paper in the corner just like we had it. So we'll make sure it did not move at all from the corner. And now we're ready to go ahead and use our powder tool to keep there from being a lot of static. There we go. And we will ink up our stamp with some Versamark ink. make sure we get a nice impression. And we're going to put it right on top of that spot. And we're going to stamp. I've got a little gliding tool that helps me to get a good impression. A lot of people make these or use erasers, but this one has been working really well for me. Okay. And that looks like a very good impression. Hang on a second, I'll get my embossing powder and then heat set it, and I'll be back in just one moment. Okay, so we're just going to put some nice black embossing powder on there, because that's the one that goes best with what the colors I chose. But whatever you have will be just fine. You could do it in gold or silver or something else that goes well with the colors you choose to decorate your cardstock with. Let's see any stray pieces. Just a little tiny bit here I can see. There we go. Now I'm going to turn off the camera while I heat set it because it's pretty loud. Okay, so now we have that stamped on the inside so that you can see it through this page. And when we add on the next page, you can still see the word "you" as long as we line it up correctly. And the last page, same thing. Just line it up just right. Okay, that's the tough part. We've done all the tough parts. All that's left to do is to glue the back flaps on for these two pieces on the outside. So we're just going to turn it over and put some glue underneath those two flaps. And then I'll be right back and we'll show you a little bit of the decoration. Just one second. Okay, we have that all done. Now we're just going to take and put on our die cuts. And I think I'll put the blue on the outside again. So we'll just put one here and one here with a little bit of liquid glue. And I've seen a lot of folks do this, so I started doing it myself and found out it was much easier when you have an intricate die cut to just get your hand a little dirty on the back and use that to get the glue onto the back of the intricate die cut. And it's just so much easier, and then you don't end up with glue squishing out anywhere. All right, so let's line that up in the middle on the top for this page, right about there. That looks good. Give it a nice press. Do the same thing for the other side. I don't know if you can tell, but it just gets a teeny bit of glue on the back so that it can't really squish out. So this just makes it so much easier. All right, now after I get that onto all 4 pages, I'll take these other die cuts that I got, and they're just on a black pearlescent cardstock, and then we'll stamp those also in Versamark and put white embossing powder on them in order to emboss those, and then the card will be finished. Again, let me show you what it looks like. I don't want this video to be too long. Of course, for this one, since it won't be for my husband, I'll probably choose other sentiments, but here's the one that's all complete. And his one says, "Today is all about you. You are amazing. Happy birthday to you. And you mean the world to me." So, and that's it. I hope this helps some of you to try some different things with your shadow outline dies. I did make it as well with a different one, and put it on some pattern paper. This is done with a set from Queen & Company that's called the Wish Big Sentiment Stackers. So I did this one also for a birthday card for one of my grandchildren, and it says it's time to wish, and see there's paper on it. And wish big, it's your special day, make a wish. And the last page, wish like it's your birthday, because it is. So anyway, use your imagination, look through your dies, and see if you can find some that'll work well for you. Thank you so much for watching, and happy crafting to all of you.